Hey, what's up guys, aarava here and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 76 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous episode, the Hungarian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But we'd head into Spa with a bit of rain maybe in the air for Sunday, so that'll be interesting to say the least for the race. But into qualifying, interesting enough, is going to be the performance chart. You can see Red Bull have made a major step up to match us and just literally by pixel overtake us as now the best car on the grid on paper. There you can see McLaren and Renault also improved. McLaren look to have a major upgrade there. I'd say Renault with a minor upgrade. And again, Toro Rosso still keeping up this incredible development pace and keeping up with Haas and Mercedes there. As the three, you can't really separate them, Haas, Mercedes and Toro Rosso. They pretty much look like they're on the same exact dot. And the same thing could be said with Force India and Sauber there. So it's all really still to play for a lot of these teams in the Constructors' Championship. For our fight, obviously, this can be interesting to say the least because we've had, a couple of episodes where Raikkonen especially has looked really great and at one with the car, and the cars looked like suddenly it's on the pace. And then last episode, for me at least, it was a bit of an unfortunate episode with the strategy, and Red Bull looked strong anyway without these major and ultimate upgrades maybe they brought to the Belgian Grand Prix. So this will be very intriguing to see now if Red Bull are going to be even more comfortable than they were at the Hungarian Grand Prix with Ricciardo. Obviously, there's maybe not as much of a strategy advantage here as there was in Hungary, but still, that'll be the big question going into this episode. And also, just a little note before we go into qualifying then, moving through the components there, you can see I'm pretty much changing most of the components here in our engine, especially the internal combustion engine was very worn out on the second one, and also the first one was worn out before I changed it, so that will definitely be a concern of mine going to the end of the season, that I think we might need to take a penalty on at least a fresh new internal combustion engine. The rest of them I think we can maybe just get about away with, but we're just over halfway through the season, but we needed to get to 2/3 on 2 different internal combustion engines. You can see we've just not done that because we need to take that second one 2 more races, which is just not going to happen. So we might need to think about it a little bit strategically and pick a race where we know we can get up the order very easily, maybe with some overtakes in the opening lap. So let me know in the comments below maybe what you guys think, where I should maybe take that penalty for the internal combustion engine at some point to get a 4th component in the pool of allocation I can get. But we're going to move on anyway into qualifying then and move away from that. For now, we don't have to worry about that. We've got a working engine well within the allocation, and so we just go about our business and try and get through into Q2 in this first session there. And obviously, we've got some rain coming for Sunday, but no rain here for Saturday, although it might get a little bit overcast and colder in terms of the conditions. As we navigate our way through the bus stop chicane to the line then for the second flying lap in Q1, and we are going to go across the line up into P9. And again, like we did the Hungarian Grand Prix, that is on the same set of super soft tyres. You did consecutive laps there. Kimi goes faster of the session though, so he's looking pretty damn handy in the same exact time as Nico Hülkenberg there, so the Renaults aren't looking too shabby as well. And so on our first run in Q2, I go very wide into turn 1 there, a little bit late on the brakes, and so I compromised myself and probably lost a 10th or 2, so that's definitely already a place I can improve on a second flying lap. But you can see it's now very overcast, so I don't know if that maybe changed the conditions. The track got a little bit colder in reality, because the car definitely did feel a little bit more understeery in the second session for some reason, so I think that was probably it. We go across the line in P4 there, and I was actually quite happy with that. Despite the mistake into turn 1, I was still P8 by the time I got back to the garage, and so I was pleasantly surprised that, okay, maybe we can make it through into Q3 just like this on this strategy. And so I went through the session, fast-forwarded through to try and see what other people have set lap times. Speaking about the fast-forwarding, obviously you guys know, you stated it in the comments quite a lot recently. You guys have been saying it in the comments of this season especially, that there's been some glitchy kind of times, and we've mentioned it before of in qualifying when you especially fast-forward it and you're going back to the garage. In the latest patch 1.13, I believe, or for F1 2018, they fixed that apparently in terms of the speeding times being ridiculously good, like 1 whole second the AI gaining when you fast forward the session. So that is kind of fixed, but unfortunately for me, I guess my lap time was just too slow because I was still on the teetering edge of the top 10 there. Obviously, I did say I did make a mistake on that first final lap, so I wasn't surprised, but I was still a little bit annoyed that I couldn't get through straight away on one set. So it did mean for the first time in a while, I'm going to have to burn a second set of super soft tyres then in Q2, leaving me with only 1 set in Q3. But immediately you're going to see we improve into turn 1, a little bit tighter on the line, brake a little bit early, but get a better exit basically, slow in, fast out, and we gain some time there in sector 1 then, and hopefully we can carry that through onto the lap and get through securely into Q3. It's actually a little bit sunnier actually on this second run, so it was very weird, like some cloud came over and then quickly went away, all in the same kind of 10-minute span of Q2. So you'll see on the top right of the screen the heads-up display, we're quite some time up now in first sector, and by the time we get to the last sector, we're about about 5/10 up here now as we go through the back straight towards Blanchimont and then ultimately the bus stop chicane. And quite good I went out because I was down to P11 as I started that second flying lap anyway. So if I didn't go out, I would have been for sure out of Q2 basically. And so into the bus stop chicane though, we lose a little bit of time. I felt went a little bit early maybe on the brakes, and so we go down to about just a 3.5 gains. Still though, I thought that might have been enough to get us through into Q3, but across the line it clearly wasn't, and I'm still P11 despite gaining that time. I was still not enough, and Raikkonen only just about made it into Q3. He was very lucky, you know. I was less than 1/10 slower than Raikkonen, and that was the difference between P9 and P11 and me being knocked down, him going through. And unfortunately, the patch did fix the fast forwarding. The patch definitely did not fix the Q3 issue where if you don't qualify into Q3, the game simulates the times based off the Season 1 stats of the cars. So I can bet you a good dollar that Raikkonen's going to be right at the top probably in Q3, and so that's going to make my job even harder versus my teammate, and also the Red Bull cars will probably be quite strong as well. So we have another tough race on our hands, and to be honest, the way the car felt around that Q2 session, I almost got another sense of what the car felt like at Silverstone. Like it seemed like Raikkonen was able to pull out a lot more time than me just very easily, especially in Q1. Remember, he topped the timesheet and I was down in P9. Now of course there's you know, evolution of the track from Q1 to Q2, and clearly in Q2 he was closer to me, but in Q1 he was miles ahead of me, and so I kind of have a worrying feeling that again it's going to be another case of maybe like Silverstone, Raikkonen's going to be really comfortable with the car and I'm just not going to be, and I'm going to find it trickier to kind of match him. I hope not, but we'll have to see about that as we go to the race. But we're going to be indefinitely starting P11 then. At least we get a free trot of tyres, but the rain might kind of spoil that kind of strategic advantage, to be honest. So let's just see. Let's go to the grid.
In the 48 races held at Spa between 1950 and 2015, the race winner has only started from pole position on 16 occasions. Qualifying yesterday may have set the order for today, but expect the unexpected here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As the saying goes, of course, anything can happen. And you know what? It usually does. So here we are once again at Spa-Francorchamps with 19 corners, 9 to the right and 10 to the left, and a lap distance of 4.35 miles. An average lap speed in the dry here is around 145 miles per hour. It's a very quick circuit indeed. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about the engineer. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast, so they'll be disappointed, won't they?
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, and Sainz, Gasly, Van Dorn, Alonso, and Brendan Hartley. The engineer, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas, and Magnussen, Grosjean, Ocon, Marcus Ericsson and Lance Stroll, Sirotkin and Sergio Perez rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Well, here we are on the grid, then P11, and what you know, Lewis Hamilton is on pole position then with Kimi Raikkonen in second place. So unfortunately, that Q3 kind of, you know, simulation has occurred again, and so a Mercedes is on pole, and Kimi's got a really good run maybe into turn 1 to try and get first place off that Mercedes car of Hamilton. The Red Bulls also quite strong, but the Renaults actually were up there, so that was at least a little bit surprising, and the McLarens were down, as to be expected with that simulation of Q3. So heading into this race, then you can see the strategy for us would usually just be a one-stop, the soft tyre to the mediums there, but you can see in the middle of this race there is going to be some rain, so that will throw the entire strategy out the window, and probably we might end up trying to stretch the soft tyres to the intermediate periods, and then depending on how long the inters go, might just switch back onto a set of super softs maybe, or soft tyres at the end of this Grand Prix, so we might even avoid the medium tyre the entire race long. But whatever the case, we'll start on the softs with some fuel added on to help us with the rich mix, but the entire top 10 will actually be starting on the super softs. No one made it through into Q3 on soft tyres. tyres, so they all might have a grip advantage at the very start of this Grand Prix. But here we go then to 5 red lights, and we're underway for the Belgian Grand Prix. 22 laps around Spa. It's a shaky getaway for myself from P11 there. Bottas on the super softs there gets a good getaway. So like I said, initially the grip is going to be much better for the super softs, but we're going to try and go down the inside then of Brendan Hartley as we re-overtake Bottas into turn 1, but can't quite get the Kiwi man in the Toro Rosso. So up the hill then on Rouge and then to the Kemmel straight. Hopefully we can try and get some slipstream on Hartley. Usually this is a very good straight in the F1 game for overtakes, but at the moment that Toro Rosso actually seems to have the legs on me, and I just can't gain enough there, even with overtake mode on ERS. We're going to try and slip it around the outside there as he invites me open there, but instead that compromises my corner and invites Bottas to overtake me, and then he does a fantastic or annoying job, in my case, of brake checking me and really slowing me down to the next apex, and so I can't re-overtake him basically, and so we're down to P12. So it's a slow start here by my standards. Obviously the entire top 11 though, all of them are now on super soft, so it really is a big difference here, it seems, at Spa, more than really Germany, it seemed, of being on that middle compound tyre. But right now in the lead of the Grand Prix is Kimi Räikkönen. What did I say? Kimi would have a fantastic run into turn 1 against the slower Mercedes car, which is only on pole position due to the simulation times in Q3, and so Räikkönen leads the way from Hamilton. Then the 2 Red Bull cars of Verstappen and Ricciardo, obviously my 2 main championship rivals so far, way ahead of me in the points here. So this is worrying times, and I'm going to have to really try and fight back in this Grand Prix. Behind them is then the 2 Renault, so it's all very 2x2 after Hamilton, and then behind them is the 2 McLaren cars, I believe. So it literally is really a Noah's Ark kind of scenario here, with also the Toro Rossos mixed in a little bit. Gasly kind of checkerboarded in with Van Dorn and Hartley as we make a very opportunistic move then down the inside of Valtteri Bottas in the bus stop chicane. Caught him napping a little bit as he had a bit of a domino effect after everyone was slowing each other down in the bus stop chicane. So a good move there to get back up into P11, but now desperately trying to catch up to Hartley at some point to overtake him if we can. As we enter the heart of Sector 2 now, feeling like we could make a move. We're closing up every single corner now to Brendan Hartley, so the Toro Rosso might be pretty good in a straight line with some reduced drag there on the R&D for the Italian outfit. Hopefully we can try and get them in the corners, because clearly we still have the downforce there. Couldn't quite make it work on that right-hander, but now into Pouon there. We're going to lift off a little bit, now plant the power early, and we're going to try and get a bit of a cutback line on Hartley. A bit of contact was made as he went very slow for my liking mid-apex there, so I was caught surprised, but all was good down the inside. And now we're going to chase after Van Dorn in pretty much the exact same place on the very next lap, lap 3, so we're going to catch up to him, and we might size up a move now as we run through to the long back straight and kind of kinks, I guess you could say, towards Blanchimont, and then the bus stop chicane. Obviously we know how OP the slipstream can be down this kind of back section of Spa. Overtake mode on ERS obviously engaged with Rich Mix also going since the start of the Grand Prix, and so here we go through Blanchimont, finding the speed mid-apex there, really fast compared to Van Dorn, and so we're going to go diving down the inside there. Narrowly miss Pierre Gasly as well as he really gets slowed up by this entire train. Looks like there's a big train actually behind the Mercedes car of Hamilton, who's now already been overtaken by both Red Bull cars. So Hamilton's already down to P4 in 4 laps, and so he's got the 2 Renaults right behind him, then Alonso, Gasly, and then myself pulling up into this train. So now can we try and size up a move on the Frenchman if he gets slowed up enough by Alonso, because up ahead now you've got the Renault already ahead actually of Hamilton there. So it's a Renault sandwich for Hamilton, and so that's Hulkenberg already ahead. So Carlos Sainz will try and make a move as the 2 Red Bulls go side by side. That was Verstappen getting up into P2 ahead of Dan Ricciardo, but Hamilton actually comes back at Hulkenberg and re-overtakes the Renault man, and so Hamilton back up into P4. The 2 Renaults now go side by side and duel out into Sector 2. That slows up Alonso and Gasly. Gasly gets shoved off a little bit on the exit of the corner, but now he's going to go for a move on the outside of Alonso. It's all kicking off. It's kind of looking like an F2 race almost at the moment, with so many dive bombs and side-by-side moments here. And Gasly and Alonso still at it there, neck and neck. And Gasly's doing a great job here at trying to make a move on Alonso and helping me out a lot, because now we're going to gain on both of these guys. But at the moment, getting hit with a bit of dirty air. You can see the understeer is really getting induced into the car. So not the one at the moment in Sector 2. So hopefully I can try and catch them up. You can see literally, look at that understeer. I just can't find the apex of any of these corners. I'm going so wide on the exit. The dirty air really is quite real behind the Toro Rosso for now. But out to the back section now with overtake mode still engaged, and Rich Mix going, can we finally close up to Gasly, who's still right on the back of Alonso. So we might have to make a double overtake to get this move done. But only 4 laps into this Grand Prix, I can already tell this car needs some drag reduction updates probably in the near future episodes on the R&D. But here we go now. Gasly, a move on the outside there of Alonso, but he locks up badly. Double lock up for the Frenchman, and so we nip down the inside and we're up into P8. Thank you you very much, Pierre. So he tried to make the move on Alonso, but it couldn't quite work. But to say that, though, the Toro Rosso's got some great acceleration, and so the move is not done yet. He's on my outside into turn 1. We have to go defensive there. Lock wheels a tad and bang wheels on the left front, and he's got the move done, and he's re-overtaken me. So I have to now re-overtake the man who just re-overtook me up the hill onto the Kemmel straight, and so this is a bigger fight than I wanted to. And remember, all the while, Raikkonen is still in first place, going about his business with not in a care in the world. So I really do think something is wrong with this car for me at the moment. I don't know if it's just me not gelling or the car genuinely is glitched and broken at the moment, but I just cannot match Raikkonen's pace at this Grand Prix. I think he's going at least a good second faster than me in this race so far. So it's just not that great, because I was assuming that I could probably get past these guys pretty quickly. You know, I was expecting to be up into P5 already by lap 5, but alas, I'm down in P8 here, still having to make some moves. And so we made that move on the Toro Rosso to get back on up into P8, but now we try and close up on Alonso. Alonso tucked up on Hamilton now, as the two Renaults have got past the P4 and P5 respectively, and they're going to try and now, probably for their sake, chase after the Red Bulls in P2 and P3, but now Hamilton goes real deep into that corner, so you can see he's now really struggling with the grip in that Mercedes car despite being on pole position. And Alonso down the inside now, the two side by side for a few corners. Alonso squeezes him out now. Hamilton slow, real slow, and that could have been a very, very disastrous move there for us. We nearly slammed right into the back of Hamilton's car there. That could have been a complete front wing off, but thankfully not. And that now means we can try and make a move on the outside of Blanchimont to Fernando Alonso. They're nearly off circuit. Gasly's also down there inside there, and so it's going to be real close between us three cars. We're side by side though with Alonso. Gasly tucked up right behind us there. A nice sequence of corners there. Lovely camera shot on the outside, and we do get the move done on Alonso. DRS open, and we cut across the racing line, but into the next brake zone. Turn 1, we're a little bit too deep. We've locked up. We've gone wide, just like we did in qualifying there. Made the same mistake I did on my first Q2 lap, but thankfully I'm going to get the power down and acceleration needed to stay ahead of Alonso as we go up the hill then to the Kemmel straight, and now just desperately looking behind me to make sure I can keep ahead of Alonso there, as Gasly is probably sniffing around, maybe hoping for a move and a chance and an overtake there. He's going to try his luck on Alonso. There's the two go side by side. Eventually though, it's going to be Alonso that keeps that position, and by the time we move on now to lap number 6, the rain has come down a lot earlier than I thought it was going to be in this race, and so you can see the amount of spray coming off the halo on the chassis there. And so Raikkonen is in for a pit stop. I'm going to have to come in. There's no way I can stay up for one more lap in these conditions, because I can already feel the lack of grip and the slipperiness on circuit. So we're going to have to maybe deal with the fact that the animation obviously for Raikkonen's pit stop might not be over yet, so effectively I'm going to lose a bit of time in the pit lane, and so that's going to be really frustrating. I might have to kind of give up the positions to some of these guys now, because you can see there a little bit of delay on the pit stop there. We're held up a tad, and as we come out of pit box then, I think we are behind Carlos Sainz there, and on the left hand side that's going to be Alonso through. Thankfully we are still ahead of Pierre Gasly, but we have had to give up the position to Alonso, so we have to try and make a re-overtaking pass then on the Spaniard, but at least we are a little bit closer to Sainz than I thought we were really in that pecking order. So I guess Sainz obviously maybe double stacked with Hulkenberg and got held up in the pit lane there. But obviously now very tricky conditions. We have to keep our wits about it really and try and keep this car on the black stuff as we go on through this second phase of the Grand Prix. But now we've got potentially a bit of a tricky situation here. Ericsson holding up Hulkenberg, an absolute treat there on the slick tyres, and so this is going to form a big train. So now can we maybe be opportunistic and maybe overtake Alonso and Hulkenberg? We're going to have to be careful, because easily this could end up very badly for ourselves. So here we go now on the left-hand side. Alonso on the right. It's going to be 3 wide. This is going to be too close for comfort there. We're on the inside of Ericsson. Yellow flags. I think Ericsson has taken out Alonso there. So what did I say? That could have been a bad situation. Looks like it wasn't for me. It was for Alonso on the outside. The inside line was the better line there, as Ericsson understeered into Alonso and took him out, it looked like. And so we're up the order now, and right behind Nico Hulkenberg then in P6 there. It could be even maybe P5 as Sainz makes a late pit stop. So both Renaults didn't double stack actually. So Sainz was never actually ahead of me then. It was actually all the while along it was Hulkenberg, so my bad. But here we go now. Replay of the situation from the third person camera here, the TV cameras. Let's see. So Ericsson obviously very slow on slick tyres. We go to the left, Alonso to the right, and I'm assuming Ericsson just understeers into him. That's a very bad camera angle, but there we go. A bit of an action shot there of Alonso and Ericsson spewed onto the grass. Doesn't actually look like Alonso's out there or Ericsson. Looks like they both just got taken wide onto the grass, thankfully for their sakes and their races. But there we go. understeering through on soft tyres, and yeah, just pushes Alonso wide there as he loses all sense of grip onto the grass, and so Alonso left to go very slowly back onto the circuit in a very dangerous manner, but thankfully for them, no cars came through at that moment in the track. So the pecking order then for the race at the moment will be still Raikkonen in a very commanding lead of the Grand Prix, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo in second, Max Verstappen in third. So my two championship rivals in the Red Bull cars still on for that double podium there. Then Hulkenberg obviously in P4, myself P5 chasing after him, but equally chasing after me is Carlos Sainz. And to be fair, I think Sainz is closing on me faster than I'm closing up on Hulkenberg as we move on now onto lap 9 up the hill. You can see the gap is increasing to Hulkenberg up ahead of me. I can hardly even see his yellow car, the back end of that car, and Sainz is rapidly closing up now. Look at that straight line speed then of the works Renault. We try and block him off a little bit. A bit of contact made as I moved a little bit late. He sends one down the inside, got his nose in there. We drift a little bit into the right-hander, but just about maintain that position for now in P5, but desperately trying to play around also with the fuel because I don't have too much fuel to burn actually. I can't afford to be in rich mix this entire time, and so it means into the end of lap 9, into the bus stop chicane, Sainz makes a nice move to the inside of the second part of the bus stop chicane there, and we go neck and neck now on the exit, desperately trying to get the power down obviously, but the rear wheels spin up quite a fair bit. We're on the inside, they're going to have to go quite defensive against Carlos Sainz, but we go deep, too deep actually, nearly complete off circuit there as the grip just isn't there on the intermediates. We lock up both tyres on the inters, very easy to do and easily done there for myself, and so now we're actually looking behind me a little bit with Gasly right up my gearbox there, literally nose to tail up the hill, but I can still sense we can try and maybe re-overtake Sainz if we have enough speed there. Overtake mode on ERS, catch the slipstream there, obviously no DRS in these conditions, but we are gaining enough here, so can we make the move as Gasly also maybe tries to make a move on me? We go down the inside, but we've gone too deep again, lock up on the front tyres, and now we have to take to the escape road across the grass, and actually for some reason the game doesn't give me a warning for illegally overtaking Carlos Sainz, although I think myself that was an unfair move if I do keep that position, so I'm going to take my own initiative and let Sainz back through because I wasn't actually going to stay on the track and make that overtake work. So in my mind, and I think a lot of you guys will agree, you know, in racing terms, that wasn't actually an overtake I did. I made that overtake by cutting the corner and going across the grass. So we give that position back to Carlos Sainz, only fair to do so, but a major mistake there. And just once again, the car is feeling horrendous, seemingly compared to Raikkonen, who's still waltzing about in first place, you know, just unaware of anything going around him and just, you know, very, very comfortable in first place. So I just don't know what it is. I really don't, because Spa has always been a great circuit for me. It's always been one I've enjoyed racing at, one I've been fast at compared to the AI, but I just had no answer for that. And especially in the next 3 laps onto lap 13, it was time to finally come in actually for the set of dry tyres, because it's dry enough now for the slicks, and I just couldn't keep up with Sainz. After I made that mistake, I don't know what it was, maybe the grass kept affecting my tyres, but I just couldn't close back up to him. But we're in for the pit stop then for dry tyres, so I'm always better in the dry than I am in the wet on the F1 game, so hopefully I can try and close back up on Sainz and overtake him on track then to get that move actually done, the one that should have been done down the inside, but I just got two-way hot at the end of the Kemmel straight. And actually, as we go down the pit lane there, Sainz has been held up massively actually, and so ironically we've jumped Carlos Sainz in the pit lane. So thank you very much, Ferrari. My team have done me a solid there to get me ahead of the Spaniard then. Hamilton though has jumped me, so Hamilton's jumped all of us because I think he was behind also Pierre Gasly there, so he's made a 3-person overtake, I think that was, in the pit lane there. So great stuff from Mercedes, but yeah, good for us at least to get ahead of Sainz. And so now we'll try and chase after Hamilton then, as hopefully the track gets a little bit hotter and hotter as the sun comes out eventually. For now though, it's quite overcast still on lap 15. You can see Verstappen sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and compared to my lap times, it's just not very good. Like, we're going to set a PB right now as we go across the line for lap 16, but you'll see it's just nowhere near really the pace that Verstappen is setting and the pace that Raikkonen is seemingly setting up ahead still in first place. So I'm just baffled that really I'm just not finding very much pace in this car at the moment on this race weekend, and it very much felt like Silverstone in a way where I just didn't have an answer really for it. And so with about 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix, Hamilton is actually pulling away from me, and instead of looking ahead, I'm once again looking behind at Carlos Sainz and potentially even Toro Rosso Pierre Gasly, who's a little bit further down that straight there. There is Hamilton in the distance just going off the screen, and there goes Sainz now on the left-hand side making the move with DRS there. Overtake mode on ERS to try and defend against him there, but he swoops around the outside and gets that done. And just like Bottas did at the very start of the Grand Prix, brakes at the right point there, mid-apex there, while it would have planted the power and tried to go around the outside of him again. He's just able to defend from us very well. So we go to this very nice aerial shot, and you can see now Gasly's closing up a little bit. But I'm not going to worry about him just yet. If I can try and stick with Carlos Sainz now through the left-hander there, down the hill towards Pouon, I should be able to have the downforce to still be with him the entirety of Sector 2, and then maybe make a move in Sector 3, although that might come a little bit earlier, because here we go then, the downforce through Pouon was really with me there compared to the Renault car, so we try and make a move on the outside. Again though, Sainz places his car perfectly there, his rear left tyre just about grazing my front wing there, and making sure I don't accelerate through the rest of the corner, as Raikkonen sets a blistering lap time there for the fast lap of the Grand Prix, nowhere near my personal best time for me, so you can see the pace difference really is quite large between me and Raikkonen. But here we go now for a very aggressive move on the outside of Blanchimont now on Carlos Sainz. It's going to be fantastic there, swoop around the outside. We're going to defend against Sainz now into the bus stop, and that's going to actually invite Gasly to make a move on the outside, and so it'll be Gasly ahead of Sainz then up into what will be P7, as we're maintaining P6 now in this Grand Prix. But that's pretty much all it's going to be, maintenance, as we now go into turn 1, and Gasly is now right up my shaft. So as the sun comes out a little bit here around Spa, we've got more fighting to do and more defending to do, because we run towards the hill now. Gasly is going to be right up my gearbox, and he's got enough speed to make a move on the outside up the hill. It's a fantastic move there, true balls of steel there for the Frenchman, and so he's done me. We're going to have to try and re-overtake him now down the Kemmel Straight with ERS going, and a Rater not on overtake mode, not even rich mix there, but we do have some good pace in the ERS mode, and I guess maybe Gasly's not deploying as much because we do get that place back. But absolutely insane, stunning move there from Gasly to try and get me for P6. But alas, we are able to keep on fighting for another day and keep ahead of him there. And thankfully for me, with 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix now, as we move on to lap 19, instead of me looking behind me to be being overtaken, it's actually just going to be a move between Carlos Sainz and Gasly there. Sainz gets the slipstream and DRS on Gasly down the inside, I think that was, and it's a yellow flag situation. I thought initially that was for Sainz or Gasly. They took each other out, but no, I think it was for a McLaren, I think, on the minimap there you can see going quite slowly. So I don't know what that was all about. I have to see at the end of the Grand Prix, but it is going to be Kimi Raikkonen then still leading the way in first place. Second place, Daniel Ricciardo. Third place is going to be Max Verstappen there. And you can see the gap from Raikkonen to Ricciardo is fairly decent there, and so Raikkonen, like I mentioned, has been so comfortable. Fourth place, Nico Hülkenberg. Fifth place, surprisingly, is Lewis Hamilton there. I don't know how he's done that. I don't know how I didn't have enough pace to catch up to him, but I just didn't, and I was looking behind me constantly against Sainz and Gasly. And so we come through the last 2 corners then. Raikkonen is going to win his 3rd race of the season, and I'm going to come home in a pretty low P6 there.
Bad luck. It just wasn't our day today.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
And so yet again, I'm staring at the race results screen and just absolutely baffled, absolutely baffled. I mean, look at that race pace there between Raikkonen and myself, the comparison there. I was just so slow on the lap times compared to Raikkonen and even the 2 Red Bull cars. I just don't know what it was. It really was like my car was a bit broken. Or you know, I've got to hope that it's maybe just a fluke and I go to Italy next and it's all kind of the same and I can be back on the pace. But that race did mean, though, it is extremely close in the Drivers' Championship. We are level on points with not only Ricciardo, but also Verstappen. That is unheard of for the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship to be on the same exact number of points. Absolutely insane. And also, with that 3rd win now for Raikkonen, he is within touching distance now of us. He's 20 points behind. 20 points, if you have a few little iffy races here and there, 3 iffy races, Raikkonen's right back in this championship fight there, really. So, he's come out of nowhere, because remember, at the start of the season, the first third, Raikkonen was down in like P7, P8 in the championship, and now he's P4, best of the rest, and closing up to myself on the 2 Red Bull cars. So that's a little bit worrying, but also at the same time, for the constructors' sake, it's also great for us because Ferrari is a team. We're closing up now quite rapidly to Red Bull Racing there. Remember, at one point, we were 90 plus points behind Red Bull, and now it's only a mere 20 there. So things are looking on the up for the constructors, but not in a way I wanted to. Raikkonen's the one taking the bread home for Ferrari, and I'm the one just being left baffled in the last couple episodes. And it's really not good, because it's not good only for losing a rivalry against Raikkonen. I'm also going to lose even more reputation with Ferrari. So my reputation for the last 5 episodes just been going slowly down and down with Ferrari, and that's going to again affect my contract negotiations when we get to the next one. Obviously we just signed a contract negotiation last episode, but when the next one comes, if I don't buck up a little bit, that's going to affect things. I'm going to get worse terms yet again in the contract negotiation. So yeah, very, very weird episode, really. But we're going to move on then to the R&D then. I spoke about in that race, clearly I thought we needed drag reduction because I wasn't getting too much slipstream there in that race compared to the Toro Rosso, McLaren and Renault teams. So we're going to go for the major drag reduction update on the aerodynamics front there. Unfortunately, I have to do this update to then move on to the next part of the tree there. So we'll do that major one, and then probably most likely, once that comes in, we'll do the ultimate major drag reduction update on the tree, on the aerodynamics part of the tree there. And then when it comes to the chassis side of things, I didn't want to spend all my points here, but I'm going to have to for the sake of my performance here, and we're going to spend it on the ultimate chassis weight reduction. So we're going to be by far the best chassis on the grid once this update comes in for the Russian Grand Prix. But you may have noticed I was saving a fair few points, R&D points, because remember, the R&D reset could well come at the Japanese Grand Prix, and you just don't, it's a roll of the dice obviously, you don't know if it's going to be a minor regulation change like we had luckily from seasons 1 to 2 for Haas, or it could be a major one like we had from season 3 to season 4. And if it is, we need to make sure we apply parts and adjust them for next season, because I probably most likely will still be in Ferrari for next year, because this is where I've been building up to drive for. So if that is the case, I need to make sure I have a fair enough points to save the car for next year. So I need to think about that. That definitely was on my mind, but the situation right now, the dire situation I'm in, calls for spending these points first and thinking about next year's car later. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, basically. But guys, if you did enjoy the episode, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.